Fractions. Essentially what fractions are nothing more than the parts divided by the total. So keep that in mind because we're going to use this quite a bit in our discussions with fractions. Now the first example that we're going to go with is this first figure right here. As you can tell, this is one figure divided up into three parts, three total parts. Now how many of those parts are shaded? And as you can tell, two of the three are shaded. So two parts out of a total of three are shaded. Now let's look at this figure. This figure consists of two same circles that are divided up into four parts. This first one is a whole circle divided up into four parts. And so there's four total parts and all four are shaded. Now this one is also divided up into four parts with one shaded. Now if I were to ask you how many total fourths are shaded, you would say 5/4. So the fraction that represents this is 5/4. Now the difference between these fractions are, one is a proper fraction and another is an improper fraction. A proper fraction is a fraction such that the numerator is less than the denominator. The numerator is the number on top. The denominator is the number on the bottom. So this is a proper fraction because the numerator is less than the denominator. Whereas this fraction is called an improper fraction. An improper fraction is a fraction such that the numerator is greater than or equal to the denominator. And as you can tell, with this fraction, since the numerator is greater than the denominator, this is an example of an improper fraction. Basically what that means is that the fraction is equal to 1 or it's greater than 1. This right here, this 4/4, consists of one complete circle with an excess amount. Hence, we have more than 1, and therefore this fraction is an improper fraction. Now, let's do this next example, where it says to use a number line to graph 3/7 and to graph 13/7. Now this fraction is a proper fraction and this one is an improper fraction. The number line is just another means to demonstrate the difference between proper fractions and improper fractions. Now if you notice, both of these fractions have a denominator of 7. So what we're going to do, we're going to draw a number line. We're going to start at 0 and we're going to count off by sevenths because these both have denominators of 7. So let's go 1/7, 2/7, 3/7, 4/7, 5/7, 6/7, 7/7. Now notice 7/7 is the same as 1. So to demonstrate how to graph 3/7 on a number line, we count over to 3/7 and we just draw a closed circle that represents 3/7. Now in order to plot 13/7, we keep on going. 8/7, 9/7, 10/7, 11/7, 12/7, and 13/7. And there's the plot of 13/7. Notice that this proper fraction 3/7 is less than 1 and this improper fraction 13/7 is greater than 1. And you may be wondering what's the purpose of knowing this, or where will I use this in real life? A ruler. Rulers divide up into fourths, halves, sixteenths, so on, so on, so on, depending on what kind of ruler you have. And so this is an example of a fraction using a number line. Now there are some other questions that you need to be concerned with. One of them is, why is 6 divided by 3 equal to 2? No, and the way you want to approach this problem is you want to check your answer. Because when you check it, you use multiplication to check. The reason why 6 divided by 3 is 2, because when you check 2 times 3, it must equal 6 for this to be a true statement, which it does. Now we're going to use this as we do these problems. Now 3 over 3 does equal 1. And if you were to check it, you would say 1 times 3 equals 3. Now let's find the answer to 3 over 1. 3 over 1 is equal to 3, because when you check that one, 3 times 1 is equal to 3. Now let's check this one. 0 divided by 3. Now that equals 0. And the reason why it does is because when you check it, 0 times 3 equals 0. Now these first 3 examples demonstrate some properties that you may or may not know the name to. This first one basically says that if you take any number divided by itself, you always get 1. This one says any number divided by 1 is always that number, that numerator. And this one says 0 divided by any number is always 0, except for one number. And that's the last example we're going to consider. 3 divided by 0. Now most people say the answer is 0, but if you check it, you have to check 0 times 0. But does that equal 3? No. So 0 isn't the answer, because it doesn't check out. In fact, if you think about it, if you put a question mark there, and you think, question mark times 0, anything times 0, can we ever get a 3? The answer is no, it's not possible. So what that means is that division by 0 is not possible. We call this undefined. Division by 0 is undefined. It is not possible. Always keep that in mind. That's a property that many people miss throughout their math careers. Cannot divide by 0. 0 divided by a number is alright, as long as it's not a 0 on the bottom. You cannot have a 0 on the bottom. Now let's consider mixed numbers. Mixed numbers consist of a whole number with a fraction, a proper fraction component to it. Now a lot of people aren't aware of this, but 2 1/3 is the exact same thing as 2 plus 1/3. What we're going to do, we're going to show you a quick and easy way to convert this to an improper fraction. And what we're going to do is, we're going to take 2 1/3, and we're going to start with 3, and we're just going to draw a circle all the way around back to the 3. Well, as we make our journey, what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 times 2, and then we're going to add 1, and we're going to put the answer back over 3. Start with 3, end in 3. So you go 3 times 2 plus 1, that's our numerator, all over 3. 3 times 2 is 6, 6 plus 1 is 7. 7 over 3. That's how we do all mixed numbers. And that's what this example is about. Same example. I just did it before I should have, but that's okay. No big deal. Now let's do an example going in the opposite direction. This time you're given an improper fraction, and the question is, how do you write this as a mixed number? Now if you read this, it says you divide the denominator into the numerator to obtain the whole number, then you write the remainder over the divisor. A lot of fancy words there. Here's all it means. You divide 3 into 13 like you would normally by hand if you didn't have a calculator. 3 goes into 13 4 times, and 4 times 3 is 12. Subtract and you get 1. A lot of times, or back maybe when you were taught this, you're taught to put an R. We don't do R's anymore. That remainder, it always goes over the number you divide it by. So we put that 1 over the 3. So therefore 13/3 is equal to 4 1/3. That's how you convert an improper fraction to a mixed number.